We welcome in our good friend, Joe Davidson of the Sacramento Bee. Joe D, want to talk high school football as we do pretty regularly with you, but I threw out an interesting tease there, as they say in the radio business before the break. Can you fill us in a little bit, because Kenny and I just learned about this yesterday. There's a chance the women's Final Four is coming to the Golden One Center in the coming years.
Yes, and it may come, and good to see you, Damian and Kenny, and it could be here a couple of times. There's going to be a news conference of sorts at about 2:40 today, right outside Golden One. People who are entertaining the bids or looking at cities. Good thing they showed up in Sacramento this week and not last week when it's 140 degrees. Hey, here you die. So hey, it's beautiful weather. It's 71 degrees. It's like that all the time here. Come. But I think there's some real possibilities because Sacramento has hosted the men's NCAA tournament rounds at Golden One before. It's going to come again this spring. It was flushed away with COVID a couple of years ago. So it's already been vetted. If the men's tournament has been here, it's been vetted, and Sacramento State was the host school doing it at Golden One, then it shows that it can be done. And some people may be thinking, oh, it's women's basketball. Who cares? Well, go out and watch it for one. If you want to, I wrote a column last year saying, if you're fed up with the Kings, go watch Sac State and go watch UC Davis women's basketball as they set screens and fundamentals count. And there you go. There's a lot of men coaching women's basketball in college or in the high school levels who do it for those very reasons. They find the women to be very coachable and into fundamentals and setting screens and boxing out. So it's a pure level of good basketball. And if we're watching some of the WNBA playoffs, it's been some great games. I saw Becky Hammond had a special guest in her locker room with Greg Popovich came in there, and he was just raving to the team. I love how physical you are and how you play and just keep doing it. And what a thrill for them. And so I think it'd be great if the Final Four lands here for women. I think there's going to be an excellent shot. You get you know how it is, guys. You get a brand new arena and things will come. Mm-hmm. The 49ers got Levi Stadium, and what happens? Super Bowl 50 was hosted. Right. And I remember talking to David Stern, the late great David Stern, and can the Kings ever host an NBA All-Star game? Get a new arena, get plenty of hotel space. Still waiting, but it's probably on the radar. You got to have that splashy arena, and got to have plenty of hotels, and then anything's possible.
Got to make sure we get to Utah first, though.
That's right.
How? I think the women's Final Four being here in Sacramento would be phenomenal. It'd be one of the best things that ever happened to this city.
And it would sell out. It would sell out because there's no
major way.
Yes, and if it happened, it's not going to happen this spring. They're looking down the road, but it could happen multiple times. But if you get, let's say, Stanford is still playing like Stanford, wouldn't that be a great, number one West seed here at Golden One and things like that? And
Duke would be better.
Duke would be. That's a good call there too.
Winning the national championship on the floor of the Golden One Center would be better.
I'd be on the podium.
Brother, I'd be on the podium.
with pretty good access too, my friend, I'm sure. So it would be a cool thing. So we'll have a story later today or first thing in the morning on SatB.com on just what they're talking about and how that process works. But man, like we said, good thing there's good weather here. This is appealing.
Yeah. And the thing about this, Joe, that I think may play in Sacramento's favor, from what I remember about this, maybe things have changed. I think there's 7 cities for 5 years. So Sacramento's just trying to be one of the 5, and not be one of the 2 that's out. But the NCAA has already shown some love to the region, because when we thought we were getting a stadium, didn't they say the women's soccer championship were supposed to be at that field that was supposed to be
so, exactly right. And we've had NC2A championship track and field and cross country in Sacramento, and it's the state capital. Who are we fooling here? They should have big events here. You got a big time arena like that. It should be a green light to have all kinds of things. We have high school state championships there. We have high school section championships there. We got the Kings. We have NC2A March Madness is going to have a stopover, and I've covered those before, and those things are a hot ticket. And I think the women's Final Four would be as well, no doubt.
Well, let's dig into some high school football stuff. Before we, talk about the weekend of games, you just kind of alluded to the terrible weather that we had last week, and we were talking about just organically. Kenny and I were having a discussion about coaching in this weather, not going forward with games. I think we were talking to Matt George and like moving games. And then seconds later, your article goes up and we get tagged in it like, hey, you need to see what Joe D wrote. And can you feel it? This was at Del Oro that they were just, I know, and I don't want to, Del Oro wasn't the only school that was practicing at 3:30. We know that for sure because Matt George was at a practice at 3:30, but Del Oro is a monster here, so they have a little bit more of a microscope on them when things like this happen.
Yeah, it was last Tuesday when it was 115 degrees, and it's going to be much hotter on a field turf, which just seems to radiate heat. And Del Oro is absolutely one of the regional powerhouses rooted in Loomis and Placer County. I've known the coach there a long time, Mike Mabin. I'm still waiting to hear from anybody from Del Oro. The district, the Placer Unified School District, put a gag order in sorts on media about any of this topic. And I think that somebody should talk about it. The district did put out a statement after we ran our story about a football player who collapsed in the heat. He's okay. But there were concerns, and it's interesting that the Del Oro, and people are saying from the Del Oro football community, they're very supportive of Mike Mabin, the coach, who was a UC Davis product. He was a scholar athlete of highly regarded renown at Del Oro years ago, only wanted to teach and coach at Del Oro. And, the father of the player who went down, I tracked him down. We're not trying to do sensationalism, but when you're doing stories on heat and something happens like that, we need to track it down. And he said in the story, I have no animosity towards Coach Mike Mabin, but I'm concerned that this practice even happened. So he has more issues with the principal, who I was not able to get a hold of despite repeated efforts. And then the district put out a statement basically saying we're going to have to refresh our guidelines here. This shouldn't have happened. That's what the father said as well. And any notion, and we've heard it all on social media, and a lot of it pretty harsh and mean-spirited, including in emails, people saying, oh, well, those guys need to toughen up. We used to practice in that stuff all the time. No, you didn't, because it's never been 115 degrees before. It's been 100 degrees, but 15 degrees hotter is a lot hotter. And it was not a long boot camp practice. It was a shortened practice with lots of water, but a big, tough-minded, hard-driving kid went down. And, there are some guys, there are some in the Del Oro program who are disputing our story and, how accurate are we and why are we so hateful towards Del Oro, which is laughable. And maybe the father has a vendetta against the program, which he does not. He made that clear. We'd like to make it more balanced, but if the school district puts a gag order on the coaches and the principal and the secretary and everybody and the athletic director, our hands are tied. And so there it is. And he's fine. The student, and he loves football. He loves his teammates. So he's going to be okay. But heat stroke is a scary deal when you get your helmets on and all that. And that's a learning message for everybody. You can't do it in that kind of weather. Just can't.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, Joe. There's too many adults involved. There's too many people that would have to either turn a blind eye or okay that or both for that to happen. As a coach myself, I don't coach football, but I coach youth. And there are a number of different ways to prepare for a game in that situation, and a number of different ways to get better at as a team. You have film studies, you've got gyms. If you want to do some type of walkthrough, you have big gyms, small gyms, you got multi-purpose rooms. If you just have to do something, but going out on a field at 113, 14, 15 degrees, it's unacceptable.
Yeah. And it's a prideful program that's done so many good things over so many good years and a lot of championships. And Even a walkthrough was brutally hot. And, they started doing morning practices after that. The heat wave is over. We're back to normal. Thank goodness. But that was unusual. It's like practicing on the surface of the sun. There were a lot of high school games that junior varsity and freshman games that were canceled last week because of the heat, because they're kicking off at 4 p.m. When it's super hot. And some games were pushed back to 8:30 or 9 p.m. And you know what? No complaining, people. I don't want to hear anybody complain about playing late kickoffs, because there were some schools way up in Forest Hill area where they're evacuating towns, and they're wondering if their house survived. So we need more perspective. And any of this notion of kids aren't as tough as they used to be is ridiculous. We did some stories a couple of weeks ago, but that the hydrated athlete is the better performing athlete. We all remember the old days when we're not going to water you, we're going to make you tougher. That's archaic old thinking. Tackling has been reduced tenfold in practices, and even including at Sacramento State, they're still winning just to keep the body fresh and the brain better. And so we've evolved, but tough way for Del Oro to be reminded you can't have a practice like that. Anybody who was doing a practice like that. Some school districts mandated no volley or no golf, tennis, water polo, or anything last week because it's just too hot. And so football, you're going to have to go in the morning or at night or just not go. But coaches are so programmed. We got to go by the, our routine or what we do every day. But you have to be flexible. You got to be flexible.
Most importantly, as you've noted on a number of occasions, the young man is okay. Hopefully, not just Del Oro, but all other programs learn for this. Hopefully, this is something we never, ever deal with again. And Mother Nature just says, yeah, that was just a one-off. We're good. We're not going to do that again. You do it in 80 years. Just don't do it in my lifetime. That was a rough week.
Do it in July when we're all by the pool.
Yeah, fair enough. Any shakeups over the weekend?
No, but we got an interesting thing going on up at at Oak Ridge High School up in El Dorado Hills. 3-0 started under Coach Casey Taylor. He was a longtime coach at Del Oro, incidentally, and they're 3-0, having outscored everybody 118 to nothing. Let me do the math. It was 62-0, 56-0, 63-0 against good teams. And now they're playing on Thursday, a Thursday night game against Pleasant Valley of Chico, home of Aaron Rodgers. So they play some good football. This is the #1 team in the northern section. So it's hard to shut people out in any level of football. So that's impressive. Folsom still our #1 team is going to play at Pittsburgh in the East Bay on Friday in a non-league game. Then we'll play at De La Salle, the big mega power there. So we have great, ambitious scheduling. Del Oro has played powerhouse teams and plays Menlo Atherton of the Bay Area on Friday with a 5-star national recruit, Jurion Dickey, who's headed to Oregon. This guy looks like an NFL guy already. Great hands and talent. So our heavies are taking on their heavies, and I think it's great for this area of football. I encourage people to go out and watch a football games when it's not 109 and go out and enjoy the product.
Joe, real quick, because I know you got to get out of here. But, you're talking about Folsom and probably playing De La Salle. Yeah, we're talking about Oak Ridge, going up to Chico, playing them. We get all that. There's even a big game between Sheldon and Jesuit this weekend as well. We all know that. But we got to give the people what they want. And the people need to know McClatchy versus Kennedy on Friday. Tell me how the Lions are about to beat down those Kennedy Cougars.
As spoken by a prideful, graduate of McClatchy High School, a basketball player who was sometimes late getting to the second half because he's signing autographs and taking selfies.
That still happens.
Exactly. So every week in the B, we do we pick games. We pick them. We have a little comment. We have a score. And I picked one of our 7 or 8 games was McClatchy at Kennedy. And my comment was, why would we pick a winless bowl? They were both over 4 because they care. It's a Metro League opener and it's a traditional game. So yes, Kenny, you are correct, sir. McClatchy is a sleeping giant football program. They're trying to get going this season. They get decent numbers. I think McClatchy wins that game. If they don't win that game, I will. I don't want to promise I'd go streaking across Kennedy's campus, but I might consider it.
If they don't win that game, I will do one segment of this show in a Kennedy hat. I don't have a Kennedy hat, but if somebody can get me one, if they lose, I'll wear one.
Well, let's up it a little bit, and Damien will back me. How about a Kennedy hat and a Kennedy basketball jersey?
Oh, that's going pretty far. It is far.
Oh, I mean, if you're confident in your squad, it wouldn't even be a big deal.
McCarthy about to do work. Let's go.
So watch Kenny be on jury duty all next week. Unavailable.
Well, no, you gotta get going, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Joe D. That's Joe Davidson right there, the Sacramento Bee.